Good evening, everyone. Happy Monday. It is Monday, March the 8th, 2021. Why is this camera askew? Let me fix that for you, ladies and gentlemen. All right. How's everybody doing tonight? How's everybody doing? It is a wonderful night. It is the beginning of a new week. I have some wonderful news for you. We received what we are declaring a favorable decision in the Connecticut school mask lawsuit today. Now, let me explain what I mean by a favorable decision. We did not win the whole case. We did not even get the relief that we were seeking, which is that the mask mandate is completely stricken down and the kids don't have to wear masks in school anymore. We did not get the full relief yet. So I'm not going to go so far as to say this is a complete and total victory. But the reason why I am declaring this a partial victory, a partial win, is that the judge did not, first of all, dismiss our case outright and grant full summary judgment to the defendants, which would have meant the case is completely dismissed. And the judge specifically ruled that there has to be this separation of powers, that the governor's powers, he opined in his decision, I should say, I can't necessarily say it's part of the ruling, but he opined that the governor should not have these unlimited unilateral powers that go on indefinitely, unchecked by the legislature, that there are separate branches of government in a beautifully written, beautifully crafted decision. This judge is a true intellectual. I do have to hand it to him, Judge Thomas Mukausher. This was a beautifully written decision, very academic, very cerebral, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen right now, if I can remember how to do this properly. So I share what I want to share. Okay, let me see here. All right, it looks like that is the right screen that I want to share. Okay, here we go. So can everybody see that? You should all be able to see that. Let me make sure this is easy for you to see. There you go. You should be able to see that well now. Put something in the comments if you can't see that, if you can't read it. Please make some comments. Any comments and questions are welcome. I know a lot of you have supported this school mask lawsuit, and I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Don and I want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your wonderful generosity. You have helped us get this far. Without you, we could not quite simply have gotten this far. We had 3 attorneys plus me working pro bono, but 3 paid attorneys working on this case. Norm Pattis, now taking the lead, did an amazing oral argument. For anyone that may have had any, let me just say this right now, for anyone, and I'll repeat this later too, for anyone that had any doubts about Norm Pattis, I know he's represented some controversial clients. Some people had reservations about us bringing him on. Anybody who saw his oral argument and who sees this decision knows that we have hired the right man for the job, and we know he is the right man for the job in the religious exemption repeal lawsuit, should that become necessary as well. So let's just talk about this right now. Here's the decision. Right off the bat, the very first section, he titles it, "The law limits the power of the good, lest the wicked inherit it." That is beautiful, folks. That is beautiful. Okay? And he just starts out, "Until recently, most of us have believed that the checks and balances within our legal system require no attention to keeping them running smoothly. But recent events have undermined that confidence. Faith that government's 3 great gears, the executive, the legislative, and the judicial, are self-calibrating, has been seriously undercut by a pandemic and by violence from the right and the left. In this case, the Connecticut Freedom Alliance claims that the pandemic has left power in this state dangerously imbalanced in favor of the executive branch. The Freedom Alliance is an organization that includes parents with children in the public schools. It is joined with individual parents to sue the governor, along with the Department of Education and its commissioner, over these concerns. The alliance alleges that, with the state in the throes of the COVID-19 pandemic, Governor Lamont and those under him have assumed powers exclusively delegated by our state constitution to the General Assembly. Specifically, they say the executive branch has no power to order children to wear masks in schools. The court may take notice that Governor Lamont has exercised broad power over the state for nearly a year, single-handedly modifying and suspending dozens of laws and effectively ruling the state by decree. He has done so in the name of laws the General Assembly itself passed, permitting him extraordinary powers in an emergency. The General Assembly, for the most part, has acquiesced. It has taken no action to approve or disapprove the bulk of the orders the governor has issued. The court has reviewed the record before it, showing what the governor has done, with particular emphasis on the authority he granted the Department of Education to require masks to be worn in schools. Excuse me. Based on this record, a reasonable fact finder would not call any of these things acts of wickedness or attempts at tyranny. Indeed, the record on summary judgment shows beyond rational debate that this state for the last year has faced a genuine crisis to the lives of its citizens. Now, I do not agree with that last sentence, that it's beyond rational debate, but I respectfully disagree with that. But continuing on, the governor has taken measures being taken all over the world by honest, competent governments. Also don't agree with that statement. The General Assembly's silence may have only meant that the majority of its members rationally approve of what he is trying to achieve. But in our system of government, rational ends may not be achieved by legally impermissible means. Silence from the General Assembly is not enough. Our state constitution is not merely a list of limitations. It is a call to action. Under it, each branch of government must do its job, uncomfortably sometimes, even the judiciary. Under our Constitution, the General Assembly may not allow itself, even contentedly, to sink into indefinite desuetude. If it could sit by, satisfied with less important activities, while another branch assumed without restraint the heart and soul of its powers, it would upend the checks and balances built into our Constitution. It would silence, too, the elected voices in state government who might object to the legislative majority and who are themselves a check against the consolidation of power in the hands of a single branch or political party. Now, he goes into the history, all right, and he talks about everyone from Aristotle to John Locke, Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes, the French jurist Baron de Montesquieu. I cannot pronounce that correctly because I do not speak French, but here's a great quote right here. In 1689, in section 141 of the Second Treatise on Government, the English philosopher John Locke saw as particularly harmful the willing transfer of legislative power between branches. The legislative cannot transfer the power of making laws to any other hands. For it being but a delegated power from the people, they who have it cannot pass it over to others. I mean, this is just a beautifully written decision. He talks about the history in France and in England, as well as in our state of Connecticut and prior to the founding of our country. He talks about Thomas Hooker, the fundamental orders. It's just a beautifully written decision. Here's section 2. Those who submit to an imbalance of power in haste repent at leisure. He's going back to the Roman Republic, Julius Caesar. Rome wasn't built in a day, but its descent into tyranny was almost that quick. Julius Caesar, conqueror of Gaul and the ardent suitor of the common Roman, was the immediate herald of the extinction of the long-tottering Roman Republic. The end itself was accomplished by Caesar's nephew, Octavian, who ruled as Augustus, regarded as the first emperor of Rome. His reign rose from the emergency of a civil war. He won his power on the battlefield. He brought peace, and the Romans thanked him for it. But he kept power, and the Romans suffered for it. Not while Augustus lived. Augustus was comparatively modest and usually exercised his powers with restraint and in favor of the public good. But within a single lifetime, Romans bade farewell to their republic, embraced an enlightened despot, and while he died, unguarded by law, the Romans faced two tyrants under whom freedom and the public weal waxed or waned at whim or will. This is just beautiful because he's showing us that history repeats itself. You can go all the way back to the Romans. We could go further back than that, to be quite honest. He talks about Oliver Cromwell, the persecution of the Catholics. It just goes. He goes on and on and on here. And he says, indeed, no party here claims that Governor Lamont is a Hitler or a Mussolini. Nothing in the record suggests he is Augustus, Tiberius, Caligula, Charles I, or Cromwell either, nor is he likely to pave the way for an immediate successor who might fit that description. But the lesson of history is that democracies don't suddenly explode. They erode, sometimes fast, sometimes slow, under the grinding weight of emergencies. It is, after all, almost never the first assault on the citadel of liberty that succeeds, but without care it is the first one that makes the next, and the next more plausible, more expected, more irresistible. Emergencies are why we have a government of laws, not men. If we pay no attention to what has happened now, a day may come when, in reliance on this governor's decrees, a future governor may herald our end by declaring a limited emergency on one topic and then tackling it by executive order. Perhaps it will be global warming, perhaps discriminatory zoning, or perhaps another governor might say that a serious financial disaster justifies the suspension of the minimum wage, collective bargaining, prevailing wages, and competitive bidding for public contracts. The possibilities are endless. It is perhaps better to take the drug away now before the patient gets too used to it. This is just probably the best Superior Court decision that I have ever read. The best Connecticut Superior Court decision that I have read in my life. Without legislative sanction, the governor will likely exceed his powers under the Connecticut Constitution. Talking about the need for oversight from the legislature. He goes on to talk about how COVID being a serious disaster and some of the statistics related to that. And again, we've had great debate about that. No one from the Connecticut Freedom Alliance has argued that it is not real or that people have not died. So I want to definitely make it clear. We have never stated that. But as he states here, the stakes for the future are high. The Alliance makes a far better argument when it claims that either on its face or as practiced by the governor, the powers he has exercised exceed his authority under the Connecticut Constitution. And I'm not going to read the whole thing. I've taken enough time. I just wanted to read some select quotes that I thought were really, really just amazing. And just share that with you and invite you to read this. I want to skip down to the conclusion because I did just want to quickly read that. It's 36 pages long, folks. So there's a lot here to digest. So what does this all mean? Here's the conclusion. So this is why it's not a total victory here. It's worth repeating what this decision does not say. It does not order anything to be done now. The Supreme Court will decide if such is to be the case. It does not suggest or decide that any of the governor's actions to date are invalid in any way. Instead, it reflects the court's conclusion that without the Supreme Court's guidance in Casey, the law likely requires the following things. The Connecticut Constitution does not permit, and Casey is that other case, Casey versus Lamont, the bar owner brought against Lamont this past summer, and it was heard by the Supreme Court. There's going to be an unfavorable decision against the bar owner, but we don't know all of the reasoning yet. We're still waiting for the Supreme Court's decision. So that's why he hasn't taken definitive action here. The Connecticut Constitution does not permit the General Assembly, no matter how willingly, to grant legislative power to the governor without limits on what he can do, how he can do it, and how long he can do it. General Statutes 28-9 must include a way for the General Assembly to disapprove all orders the governor issues under the statute. For what he has done to date, the governor must submit his orders to the General Assembly to be ratified or rejected. Orders issued under the General Statutes 28-9 are only valid for 6 months. The statute does not say the governor may renew them without legislative action. Therefore, the governor must ask the General Assembly to renew his power to issue further orders. No powers granted under the Act may be for unlimited duration. Nothing in this opinion suggests that the executive branch has done the wrong thing by requiring masks to be worn in school. It suggests only that the right thing must be done in the right way constitutionally. In fact, this opinion concludes from all the evidence that can reasonably be believed that the school mask mandate was a rational response to the COVID-19 crisis. In short, this opinion is less about the actions instituted by the government in this particular emergency and more about the institution of government. And no final judgment will be entered. No appeal period is running. So the action remains pending as to the first two counts. So he wants to wait for the guidance from Casey. He hasn't made a final decision here. And so I want to make that absolutely clear. There is no final decision, but this is still an amazing decision because of what he said. Now, he didn't say that masks in school were bad. He didn't say that masks in school were harmful. He's already ruled against us, and we intend to appeal that ruling fully to the Supreme Court once we have a final decision, okay? He ruled against us on that. He doesn't think masks are bad. But what he is criticizing here is the way in which the governor did this. And so this decision, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why this is such a big decision is it has broad implications beyond masks in school. It has broad implications for the governor's powers. This decision could set a precedent. Ultimately, if it's upheld by the Supreme Court and if we get a more clarified ruling as to the separation of powers, it may set a precedent that no governor may just unilaterally act like this again, issuing all kinds of pandemic orders without legislative approval. That's huge, because that would mean we could never have a repeat of 2020 into 2021 again in the way that it happened in Connecticut. And this could have far-reaching impact. So this is why I want you all to just be very happy tonight. Your prayers and your donations have been put to good use. Speaking of donations, we are still in dire need of donations. We were hit with a very, very large legal bill. I'm not going to state the amount here publicly, but if you want to reach out to me privately, I can discuss it with you. But we were hit with an extremely large legal bill for the expenses we have incurred that we cannot pay right now. We raised a lot of money initially. We've paid a lot of money out. I will say to date, we have paid, I will announce this, to date, we have paid out to our attorneys. That means money going out to them, $70,000 for this case. And we still have a very large bill pending. So and we have appeals ahead of us, and we have more work to be done in this case. So if you want this good work to continue and to have any chance of us getting a final decision that prevails and really has, again, impact beyond masks in school, impact now, this case is about a lot more than that. It's about separation of powers, putting a check on the governor's powers. Please consider a donation today and share the donation link with everybody that you know. I have it here now. You can either go to ctfreedomalliance.org or you can go directly to our school mask lawsuit fundraising page, which you can find, let's see here. Here it is. There's the link right there, okay? GoGetFunding.com/CT Mask Lawsuit. Please consider a donation. We've done so much work. We've put our business, Don and I put this whole business on the line for this case, gotten ourselves in some very deep debt, and we need your help, okay? We are asking you, please, if you want us to continue, you've seen the good work that's come of this already. That decision is an amazing decision. That decision is now going to be published, okay? It's a public decision that will be published for all to see. And if it's upheld ultimately by the Supreme Court and we get a final decision in our favor, that will be a permanent ruling that will stay out there, that will affect not only this governor, but any future governors, and put a check on the governor's power. So this could be huge. Again, we can't guarantee an ultimate 100% complete victory in the end. We're doing our best to get it across the finish line, but I can't stress enough how important this decision was today. This decision was, like I said, one of the best decisions I've ever read, maybe the best decision I've ever read, coming from a Superior Court judge. So again, hats off to Judge Thomas Mukausher. I know he didn't completely agree with us. That's fine. He's entitled to his own opinion. He did his job in this case. He thoroughly considered the issues, and he wrote a very thorough, well-reasoned decision. Again, I don't agree with every point in the decision. We as an organization do not agree with everything in the decision, but that doesn't mean that we can't be respectful and that we can't say that it was very well done. This was not a haphazard decision. This was issued with thought, okay, and precision. And I encourage you all to read it. So if you go to our website, ctfreedomalliance.org, we not only have a donation to the school mask lawsuit link, but we also have a link to the school mask lawsuit news and updates that has not only all the news articles, but it has the latest update, and it also has information about this decision and a link to all of the court filings and all of the court decisions, including this latest decision. So please go ahead and read that. I encourage you to. It is absolutely beautiful. And I really want to just wish you all a wonderful evening. Again, I thank you for your support. I thank you for your dedication to not only this lawsuit, but to our organization, the Connecticut Freedom Alliance. And please, if you haven't already, sign up for our email list so we can keep you abreast of the latest news and updates. So please just go to ctfreedomalliance.org and fill out the contact us form if you want to sign up for our email list so you can be kept in the loop. All right. Have a good night, all. This is a great day, and everybody should go to bed happy tonight. See you later.